After deploying and arming National Guard troops in the nation's capital, President Trump is now threatening to do the same in other cities. Joining us now is NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr. And Alice, hello to you. The president is drawing some sharp criticism now from state and local officials over this move. What have we heard so far?
So it's an interesting moment because, of course, I'm in Washington, D.C., where President Trump has deployed National Guard troops and has the ability to do that because we're not inside of a state and there are certain, home rules set up for the way that the government runs here that allows him to have pretty broad latitude in what he can do. He's now talking about moving over just up the road into Baltimore and potentially deploying National Guard troops there. He's spoken a lot about Chicago. And of course, those two cities are within state government systems. We have Democratic governors of both of those states, Maryland and Illinois, Democratic mayors of the cities. We're talking about Baltimore and Chicago, and there are others, but these are the two that have gotten the most attention just lately. And so state and local officials in those states that are under sort of this scrutiny from President Trump have been very adamant that they don't think that the president has the legal authority to come in and to deploy National Guard troops to try to do the kind of takeover of the police department that he has done here in Washington. And so they're promising to push back and have had some kind of back and forth, sort of banter, but, with pretty serious tones. I'm thinking of Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who suggested that President Trump should come walk the streets of Baltimore with him. And if that he's not willing to do that, then he should just kind of back off and not be talking about the crime rate in Baltimore, the crime rate in Chicago, et cetera, which is what is spurring this movement to try to get more federal law enforcement and National Guard troops into these cities.
Alice, it's probably understandable that he would talk about Baltimore. He has not mentioned Atlanta at all. But why Chicago? Why the focus on Chicago? Is it that crime rate that you just mentioned?
Yeah, so Chicago certainly has long drawn headlines for the crime rate there. And we're hearing now from Chicago's mayor that there has been a 30% drop in murders, robberies, and shootings from last year in Chicago. But the city is still averaging more than one killing a day, with 3 homicides and 27 people shot just this weekend. And the mayor there said that his city does need more federal resources and partnership from the federal government, but what he called an unwarranted military takeover, he said, is not what his city needs. And then Governor J.B. Pritzker, the Democratic governor of Illinois, has been very sharp. He has called the potential takeover in Chicago a, quote, dangerous power grab, and referred to President Trump as a wannabe dictator. The president is pushing back on that. He said, quote, a lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense. And so that has been an interesting back and forth in Chicago, where, again, the President Trump has more than once said that might be the next city that he's considering. He said, maybe we'll wait, maybe we'll just go ahead and do it. And we probably should, because he says Chicago needs the help.
Is there any evidence that the troops and the added federal law enforcement in the D.C. area has made a difference?
So President Trump is crediting the recent National Guard deployment and federal takeover of D.C. police for an immediate drop in crime. And he pointed out that Washington, D.C. has not had a murder in 11 days. He said he thought that had not been the case for many years, though NBC did look back and saw that earlier this year, D.C. did go more than 2 weeks without a murder. So it's not unheard of, and probably too early to say, what effect the National Guard troops, the federal law enforcement are having actually, if that's what you can pinpoint for the crime, the fact that there has not been a murder, which of course everybody welcomes over the past 11 days.
All right, Alice, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.